Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. So, welcome to our service tonight. We are in for a treat, and I'm really looking forward to the service. We're going to open with Hine Mato. This may be a new tune to some of you, but it won't be new for very long. Hine Mato, Manai, Shevet Achim Yahad. Hine Mato, Manai, Shevet Achim Yahad. Now your turn. Hine Mato, Manai, Shevet Achim Yahad. Hine Mato, Manai, Shevet Achim Yahad. How good it is, how sweet it is, together on this day. Can you repeat? How good it is, how sweet it is, together on this day. Hey, my soul, my life, Shevet Achim Yahad. Hey, my soul, my life, Shevet Achim Yahad.
Shabbat Shalom. It is a wonderful honor to welcome you all this evening. This is an extra special Shabbat. Of course, every Shabbat is special to us, and every Shabbat we're happy to welcome all of you here. But of course, this Shabbat we are joined not only Cantor Canizaro and Rabbi Bernholtz and myself, as well as our pulpit guest, Sam Putterman. Thanks for being here. We are also joined by three of our Shazifti teens as members of the National NIFTY, North American Federation of Temple Youth, who all across the country are coming up on the pulpits of their synagogues to address their communities about the important issues that are on their mind this week especially. And of course, our presenters for this evening are Harrison Klein, Claire Shames, and Mark Weinstein. We thank the three of them for being here. Weinstein, I am so sorry. You got it. Mark will forgive me. He's a generous guy. This is an excellent time to make sure that if you have a cell phone or other electronic devices, that they are switched off or set to silent. Rabbi, pictures? No pictures?
Yeah.
Because this is a special service, if you would like to take pictures from the congregation, you may. And if there are any young children that have difficulty making it through the entire service, or if you need to leave the sanctuary at any time, please remember you can hear everything that is said in here from the Schimberg Grand Foyer where you came in. It is this time my honor to welcome up to share with us the blessing over the candles and Kiddush, some of our NIFTY and Shazifti students, Shazifti, which is our local Shari Zedek chapter of NIFTY, Sophie, Sydney, Addison, and Harrison. You can follow along on page 120 to 123.
Honey.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kitchanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehatikeh shel Shabbat. Amen. And we can follow along in the Kiddush on page 123.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who finding favor with us, sanctified us with mitzvot. In love and favor you made the holy Shabbat our heritage, as a reminder of the work of creation. As first among our sacred days, it recalls the exodus from Egypt. You choose us and set us apart from the peoples. In love and favor you have given us your holy Shabbat as an inheritance. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kosho ve'ahava u'ratzon, imanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tevilah l'mitzvahei kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim, and thank you again to Sophie, Sydney, Addie, and of course, Harrison Klein. Our service continues now with a reading on page 124. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Page 144.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'almad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'yomechon u'v'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Bagala u'bizman kariv ve'imeru. Amen. Yehesh me Rabbah Ha'arvit Ramam ve'yit na'aseh, ve'yit adar, ve'yit aleh, ve'yit halal, shemei dekudisha, b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiron be'alma, ve'imeru. Amen.
We rise now for the Baruch Hu as we turn to page 146.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la,
I'm reading now at the bottom of page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Evod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. The Via Hafta is on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך Adonai, v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
We read together on this page. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. I'm reading now at the bottom of page 157. Please join me responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory.
May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Page 158. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomrenu l'chaim. I'm reading at the bottom of page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us, beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162. We read together in the middle of the page. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. We continue now with the tefillah beginning on page 164 and continuing on even-numbered pages through page 168. Please rise.
Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, sepatai tifta, ufiyati tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Makin Abraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayeh hakol atah, Rav le'Hoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micham
together in the middle of page 170. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Page 173. Please be seated. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of this sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et Amo Yisrael, bashalom.
Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Me'olam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Me'olam. Ki ata hu melech hador, lecho hashalom. Ki ata hu melech hador, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Me'olam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Me'olam. Tasim Me'olam. Tasim Me'olam.
We continue now with the Misha Berach prayer, saving this page to return to in a moment. You may turn forward in your book to page 371. We say the words of the Misha Berach prayer, asking for God's healing with all of those who are in need of healing, for all of those in our community who are caring for loved ones who are in need of healing, for all of those victims of violence here and around the world. We ask God to be with them. And as always, we ask God to be with members of our armed services, whether they serve here or around the world, to be with them and their families who miss them when they are away. For all of them and for those whose names you may mention quietly to yourself when I pause in the Hebrew, we say the Misha Berach prayer once again on page 371. Misha Berach Avotenu ve'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, ve'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yamaleh Rachamim Alehem, Lehachalimam Ulerapotam Ulhachazikam, Vayishlach Lahem Mehera Refuah Shlema Min Hashemayim, Refuat HaNefesh Urefuat HaGuf, Hashta Ba'gala Uvizman Kariv, V'nomar Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. We continue now in silent prayer and meditation on pages 180, 181, or with any words written upon your own heart.
Tonight is a very special night for us because, as you heard before, 3 of our teens are going to speak about a subject that for all of us has become a great concern. and that is gun control in our country. We don't often speak politics from the pulpit, but this is not politics. This is human lives. What we have seen in our country, what we continue to see in our whole world, is a world that has lost its ability to care about human life, that sense of compassion, everything that we know to be sacred. Enough is enough. All of us have seen and heard. We've watched the families who grieve the loss of their young ones, who innocently go off to school and do not return. I certainly believe that while guns may not be the whole problem, they are certainly part of the problem. And I think that it is time that we as a country come to our senses and figure out a way to control guns, the sale of guns, the use of guns, what kind of guns, all that is involved with firearms, so that we can build a safer America. I'm delighted tonight to be able to present to you three people, Harrison Klein, Claire Shames, and Mark Weinstein, all of whom in their own way have had something to say since the Parkland shooting about gun control. Harrison spoke, as you will hear, at the offices of our state senators when he went to a program sponsored by the Temple in Washington, D.C., where he advocated on behalf of gun control. Mark, as you will hear, at his school at Plant, videoed, and you will see the video that he made of the reactions there of the students and what they're involved in. And in our confirmation class, we spoke about the matter, and Claire Shames was very vocal about her own feelings. And so we've asked all three of them tonight to share with us. They will share in this order: first Harrison, then Mark, and in addition to his comments, we will see the video that he made, and then Claire will speak last. It's my pleasure. Each of you, by the way, come up right after the other automatically. It's my pleasure to ask forward Harrison Klein to speak first.
He who takes one life, it is as though he has destroyed the universe. And he who saves one life, it is as though he has saved the universe. Hi, I'm Harrison Klein, and thank you for giving me your time today. Today I would like to talk to you about gun violence prevention. Did you know that 8 young Americans under the age of 19 die from gun violence each day? That is just one shocking statistic about gun violence. Last year, as a participant in the Lift High Can program, I spoke with Senator Marco Rubio's office and referenced the 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting as the biggest mass shooting in American history. 15 months later, I stand before you, sickened that the 2017 mass shooting in Las Vegas so quickly eclipsed the devastating statistic from 2016. What did both of these tragic events have in common? Both of these events could have been prevented by a simple background check. Did you know that 90% of the public and 75% of gun owners support a universal background check for private gun sales? Another shocking statistic is that guns kill 30,000 American people each year. That is a higher rate than any other country in the world. And 76,000 people survive following incidents of gun violence. Our hope is that Congressman Rubio would take some time to listen to these views to help make our communities safer as a result of more thorough background checks. The quote from the Talmud teaching that saving a single life is equivalent to saving an entire universe. And it's a value that we Jews live by each day. What the quote is saying is that if you kill someone or take someone's life, you destroy their universe and the universe of the people around them. But if you save their life, you save their life and the universe of the people around them. The continued easy access to guns from private sellers impacts not only those involved directly in the violence, but us all. After shootings like the one in Orlando and Las Vegas, we saw countless numbers of people come to the aid of victims and their families. But what happened in our government? Nothing happened is the answer. We still have not made any progress in fixing the laws around guns and the laws around gun background checks. As a teenager in the state of Florida, I was really affected by the Orlando massacre shooting. When my mom and I found out what happened at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, we were both extremely upset. My mom grew up in Orlando, so for something like that to happen, where she lived, just put her in a shock and a mood that I've never seen her before. There were people that we knew of who were severely injured or killed, and it was just devastating. I believe that if we had more comprehensive background checks on the shooter, we could have stopped this from happening. As a high school student getting ready to apply for college in a few years, there is no way that I would want to go to a school that has been on lockdown for an active shooter on campus, and sadly, more than one of our Florida State schools falls in that list. Additionally, being in a family that attends concerts and shows all the time, knowing that there's a fact that I would lose both my parents in the same night, like at the Las Vegas shooting, is absolutely devastating. As some of you know, I spend my summer at URJ Camp Coleman. A couple of my friends that I go to camp with go to Stoneman Douglas. On February 14th, Nicholas Cruz came into Stoneman Douglas with awful intentions. Cruz ended up killing 17 people and wounding many more. My friend Zoe Fox Schneider sent this to our camp group chat when she got to safety. I was in my chem class, and we heard a huge bang, but we are near maintenance, so we always hear loud noises all the time. Then the fire alarm went off, which was weird because we had a fire drill this morning. But we all went out of my class. We were on the second floor overlooking the courtyard, and we were walking downstairs and saw people running. So we started to leave, and the maintenance guy was like, "Go back, it's a code red." Then we got back upstairs, and we started to hear gunshots. One after another got paraded into the storage room of the media center, and we were waiting there for 2 hours with the lights off. Then finally, the SWAT team came, and he's the scariest man I've ever seen, but I felt so safe. Then he brought us into the media center with like 100 other kids. We sat there for about 15 minutes. Then we were told to run in a single file line with our hands up to the sides of the road. We had to drop our backpacks off and wait in the grass for about 20 minutes before we could pick them up. They told us to keep walking until we got to safety. I would like to encourage all of you to go out tomorrow and participate in the March for Our Lives. I would also like to ask you to write to our congressmen and women so we can be a part of the change before anyone else has to become another statistic. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Shabbat Shalom.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Weinstein. I'm a 17-year-old senior at Plant High School. I would like to thank you for listening to us talk, and hopefully you will take something away from what I have to say. Even though it is my pleasure to give talks to students, parents, and the community, I find it unfortunate to be called upon and asked to come speak on how people my age are responding to being called to a horrifying event such as these school shootings. It is not because I don't like having the opportunity to share what I have learned on others. It is because of the circumstances that have provided me this opportunity. I've been amazed at how much of a support system my school has. Students have stepped up and become a strong voice of support for the Douglas community and are now becoming political activists. During the weeks after the shooting, my high school's community worked really hard to show their support. We organized vigils and other support ceremonies. Amidst all the chaos, I decided to grab my camera, and what resulted is a meaningful video support.
been very impressed with talking to the students and how they're taking care of each other and how they're coming together. And I'm so grateful to the teachers, the coaches, the administration, and all the first responders who tried to protect them. There's a cycle to it. We get horrified that this violence is inflicted on our kids. We get angry that there's nothing we can do and nothing's done about it. And then we ultimately get immune and move on to something else. I want you to know that you're not alone in your grief. We're all grieving with you. The entire country is grieving with you. While I don't have all the answers, I know that something has to change before this is visited on another community and another community and another community.
I've always found I can speak through the videos that I make. When I have a camera, it is as everything else around me disappears, and all that matters is what I am filming. My voice can be heard over social media with the views that I get. With the stories I tell, nothing can touch me. I'm separated by a screen, yet it is if the viewer and I talk in person, as if we're connected and I can tell them the video's purpose. They say actions speak louder than words, and for me, my actions will be to contribute to social media, publicize what is happening, make it known that people are fighting for a cause, to make for our community. For me, the easiest way to contribute to the ongoing fight for change is to harness my camera and show everyone things they have to see, because no student should have to feel unsafe in a school, have to walk through the hallways and stare at all the possible routes to escape if it is needed. No teacher should have to sit in a class and explain to their students what the drill would be if a threat came on campus. No parent should have to worry about their child when they drop them off at a place of learning. All these things people should not have to worry about, yet they do. But they might not have to anymore. In my point of view, it is too easy to buy a firearm. I believe that there should be intense background checks and mental screenings. A law-abiding citizen still has the ability to get a gun, it just might take longer. I don't think that that is too much to ask. And overall, what I believe is that we can't stop fighting for change. There will be roadblocks and there will be haters, but if we give up easy, nothing will change. We may be young, but nothing is stopping us this time. I'm going to take a step away from discussing what my plan is to help enact change and instead talk about something I learned from the recent Douglas shooting. If you've ever heard me speak before, I push the idea of living the little things in life, these being the small, day-to-day actions that a person can live out. For the most part, you might not realize you're helping someone's day by just smiling at them or holding the door open for them. However, it's these little things that can really make a large impact on others. This became apparent to me at an event I had for my other youth group early in the year. I was running karaoke. Luckily for everyone else, I was not singing, I was running it. And on the sign-up sheet, someone had written their name and drew an arrow next to it saying they wanted to go last. This young lady cheered on every performer before her and waited patiently for almost an hour. When it came up to be her turn, I went backstage to check on her. I asked her if she was ready to go. She said she was, but she was a little nervous. I assured her everything was going to be okay and that she had nothing to worry about. She was going to go out there and she was going to amaze the crowd. And she did. She rocked the place. A couple days later, I received a letter from her saying that at karaoke that night, she was extremely nervous to perform. But by me telling her she was going to do great and that she had nothing to worry about, it gave her the confidence to go out there. She said that that night she realized she wanted to sing for a career and that she can't be held back by her fears. And one of the most amazing things is, she didn't even know my name. When I received that letter, I realized how small an act of kindness can be and how far it can truly go. If in a lifetime one person goes out and positively affects 5 other people's lives and instills a philosophy for each one of them to help another 5 people, in 6 generations, 3,906 people are affected just by one person's act of kindness. That originates from one person only helping 5 people in their entire life. If everyone you knew did this, just imagine what that number would be. And the greatest part about this is that it doesn't have to be a life-changing act. It can be just a small one of kindness. I always try to live this philosophy and work to teach others that you don't have to go out and shoot big and try to change the world. Instead, you can make a huge impact by just focusing on these little things in life. The Douglas shooting gave me a large wake-up call. I realized that more than anything, I have to work harder and harder than I have before to instill this philosophy in others, and most importantly, I learned that I have to work harder to instill this philosophy in myself. Instead of being on your phone for half the day, pick your head up. You never know what you might miss. Smile at people. If they look like they were troubled, ask them how their day is going. In life, we are given these chances. We just have to learn to take them. 17 people died in the Douglas High School shooting, their ages ranging from 14 to 39. If we all harness this philosophy, it might not change everything, but it can change just one person, and even that is enough. Remember, these small acts of kindness can truly make a big difference. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Claire Shames. I'm a freshman in high school, and sometimes I write poetry. I wrote what I'm about to read to you after the Stoneman Douglas shooting in Parkland last February. Gun control is like the trolley problem. We all know the trolley problem. A split in the tracks, with you at the lever. One track has a ton of innocent people. The other has something you care about. But in the instance of guns, it's quite different. One track is just covered in people. 14 Florida high schoolers and 3 staff. 58 concert attendees. 49 partygoers in a nightclub in Orlando. A mother and her 8-year-old son in a McDonald's. The unlucky family of a drunken, angry man. A toddler who finds her father's shotgun. It goes on and on and on and on and on. No sign of stopping. Hundreds of thousands of millions of innocent bodies, as far as you can see. On the other track is money. Millions of dollars in blood money from the NRA telling you to send thoughts and prayers and to shut up. You stand at the switch. It has become painfully apparent that gun violence and mass shootings are an epidemic in America. There are many proposed solutions to this, especially concerning school shootings, like the one previously mentioned. One rather interesting idea advocated by some politicians is to train and arm teachers and faculty with guns. This would allow teachers to subdue or kill an aggressive shooter, as well as making schools less of an undefended target. However, there are huge holes in this plan. First, 73% of teachers oppose this plan. Putting guns in classroom creates more danger as well. There have already been several reports of staff trained in handling firearms accidentally discharging their weapons in class and injuring students. A student could perhaps get their hands on the gun if it is not properly secured in the classroom. The only way to avoid this issue is to keep the gun unloaded and in a hidden, secure lockbox with the bullets hidden somewhere else, and the key in another secure location. With this much complication, the gun would be useless in an actual shooting because no one would be able to get to it fast enough. The teacher would either be too busy assembling the components of the gun to protect their students, or would simply be unable to reach the gun because they're leading their students to safety. In the unlikely event where the teacher manages to do both, to arm themselves and ensure the student's safety, more guns simply creates more chaos. How will the teacher know which person to hit? In Parkland, Nicholas was only 1 year older than some of the students. He disguised himself within the fleeing mass of students to escape. What protects the fleeing students and staff from friendly fire? A shooting is a frantic and panic-inducing scenario. A stray bullet could easily hit a student. Also, when the police arrive, how will they know who to apprehend? Will they arrest the adult with grim determination and a gun in their hand, firing off into the school, or the real culprit, whoever that may be? And finally, the real question, where will we get the money to pay the teachers, and pay for the training, and pay for the guns, and pay for the inevitable lawsuits of accidental injury? Public education is already criminally unfunded, that's a speech for another day, and teachers aren't paid nearly enough to work for all the work they do. We do not expect security guards to do teaching, so why should we expect teachers to be security guards? Teachers should specialize in education, not SWAT tactics. Schools can't afford to buy current textbooks for their classes. And so how could we expect them to buy guns? Speaking of buying guns, isn't it interesting how the people pushing for guns in schools are the ones who would profit most from increased gun sales? Namely, the heads of the NRA and the politicians that they sponsor. Under the claim that the only way to stop gun violence is to arm a good guy with a gun, the NRA has advocated to make guns even easier to get. However, it is already far too easy. Until recently, the only qualifications for gun ownership in Florida were really, really loose. An 18-year-old must pass a simple background check to purchase a rifle, a description that includes the AR-15s of mass shooting fame. No permits, insurance, or registration is required. Handguns have slightly more restrictions, including a 3-day waiting period, which can be waived if you have already purchased a gun, and a permit if you wish to carry it on your person. It is even still possible to circumvent these requirements if the gun is purchased online or at a gun show. Just let that sink in. At 18, someone is not old enough to legally purchase a beer, but they can buy a semi-automatic style weapon, one modeled off the guns used in war. Governor Scott recently passed legislation to raise the legal age to purchase a gun to 21, but the NRA is fighting it fiercely. Now, let's take a look at the process to operate cars, something guns rights activists love to equate to guns. The following is what I, a 15-year-old, must do to drive. First, I must get my learner's permit. This entails taking an online course with a 4-hour minimum. I say minimum because it can be longer, but never shorter. About the dangers of intoxicated driving with periodic questions to ensure that I am paying attention and not skimming through. I must pay a fee to take this course. I then take a written exam at the DMV. I now have my learner's permit, but keep in mind, all of that must occur before I can even put my hands on the wheel of a car. I now have to wait a year to get my driver's license. During that year, I finally learn how to actually operate the car and I am only allowed to drive with an adult who has their license in the car with me, and only during the day. After that year is up, I finally qualify to take my driver's test and obtain the license. But I'm not done yet. I must purchase insurance and have proof of it in the car with me whenever I drive. To top it all off, I still have many rules to follow, and if I break them, I pay fines and am in danger of losing my license. It's ironic that I have to do all of that to drive a vehicle that's sole purpose is to get me from place to place. But kids like Nicholas Cruz can buy a war weapon with barely enough background checks to determine that he was a dangerous and unstable person. Some gun advocates insist that the Second Amendment grants them the unalienable right to own as many guns of whatever style they desire, and to make that process difficult is to violate their freedom as Americans. However, if we look at the Constitution from a historical standpoint, its intent is quite different. This is what the Second Amendment actually says. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. Notice that first bit? A well-regulated militia. In my humble opinion, as well as in reference to the rules of grammar, that is the subject of the statement, not guns. This statement is saying that the right to a well-regulated militia shall not be infringed, because it is crucial to the security of freedom and the independence of the people. Remember, this was written 229 years ago, in 1789, right after the Revolutionary War. The American people were terrified of repeating the monarchy and the injustice of King George III's tyrannical rule, and the government they created reflects that. The well-regulated militia was put in place to defend against the National Army. Professional soldiers like the Redcoats and mercenaries, in their opinion, were bad news. So this rotating volunteer militia protected against that. If the government used the federal army to oppress the people, the citizen militia would fight back. That is what the phrase keep and bear arms is for. The militia is made of citizens, after all. If you want to learn more about the minutiae of this militia, simply read the section of the Federalist Papers dedicated to it. Federalist number 29 by Alexander Hamilton. Another big problem with using the Second Amendment to justify unlimited gun ownership is the extent to which guns have changed in the past 2 centuries. The guns of that time were large, clunky, single-shot, slow-loading, had a huge recoil, and weren't very powerful. Most gunshot victims of the time actually died from infection or blood loss, not the gunshot wound. A typical Revolution-era musket had a 1-round magazine that could fire about 3 rounds per minute. That's 3 bullets a minute. But only in the hands of the most skilled professional wielder. The modern AR-15, the gun used by the 19-year-old shooter at Stoneman Douglas, has a low recoil and can fire 400 rounds per minute. Let that sink in. That's almost 7 bullets per second, 7 deaths in 1 second. Like many Jewish girls my age, I go to sleepaway camp during the summer. During the rest of the year, I keep in touch with my cabin mates through one very, very, very large group chat, which is usually peppered with gossip on cute boys and cool shows and new haircuts and the occasional game of 8-ball, until it wasn't. Not surprisingly, virtually all of the Blue Star campers are from Florida. Many, in fact, live in or near Parkland. While I didn't see the Snapchat stories and Facebook Lives taken by the victims, I did read a frantic play-by-play written by my friend, who lives extremely close to the school. The situation didn't feel real. So, a mass shooting happens, this time in Florida. There has already been another, and another after that, and another after that, and another, and another, and another, and another. Some will be in schools. Why is this still happening? Why, instead of stopping this madness after the first school shooting, did we just let it go by? Well, we won't. This generation of young adults raised on stories of rebellion are finally saying, never again. As one of the Stoneman survivors said, you're either with us or you're against us. So get out there. If you can, vote, set an example, go to the march tomorrow. We, the teens of the United States, are finally saying that the time for inaction is up. If you, the parents, relatives, teachers, friends, adults of our country, won't do anything, we will. Some of us will be 18 in the next election, and we will be there. Remember, as my poemette says, we stand at the switch. Thank you.
Before I call Sam to the pulpit, I know that all of our speakers have left you literally breathless. I know that our lives are in good hands with not only the talent, but the inspiration and the ardor and the ability to express themselves that all three of you have done. I hope that with our help, we can build for you a safer world. I know that I'm committed to it, and I hope that we will get others to do the same. Thank you tonight for having worked so hard, done so much research, preserved it all through a beautiful video, and taken the time to advocate in Washington. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock is a March for Our Lives in downtown Tampa. I know a lot of our adults and youth will be going. Don and I will be going. And if you're able to go, I think it's important that you go as well, and that when it's time to vote, you also go to the polls and vote for a safer America. I now call Sam Putterman, our pulpit guest, to present tonight's announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi. Wow, what can I say? Thank you, Harrison. Thank you, Mark. And thank you. Does it work? Just say it again. Thanks. Anyhow, what can I say? I would like to thank, in order of the presentation, Harrison, Mark, and Claire. Thank you so much for your stirring presentation. I have to tell you, when I was your age, I couldn't even properly write a thank you note, no less prepare a speech like that. And I know that our people, our country, and our youth are in good hands, because you're not the only three. And there are more like you out there, and we thank you for all that you have to give all of us. And I think you all deserve another round of applause. Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to welcome all of our members, newcomers, and guests to Congregation Shaare Zedek. We look forward to visiting with you during the Oneg Shabbat. Representatives of the board and past temple presidents are identifiable by our gold nameplates. At Congregation Shaare Zedek, we pride ourselves on offering a wonderful variety of programs. Upcoming events have been listed on the back of your Shabbat program. Thank you, Robert Applebaum and Michael Rosenbach, for ushering this evening. Our clergy and staff are eager to greet visitors who are looking to learn more about our congregation. So immediately following services, clergy and staff will move into the Oneg Shabbat and stand at the membership table, and we would love for any visitors to stop by. We encourage congregants to introduce yourselves to guests you see at the table. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Sam. We continue now with the Aleinu on the bottom of page 586. Continuing to the top of page 588, let us rise.
Be'ach la'adon hakol, la'tei gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, lelo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kecho hamonam, va'anachnu korim, Umishachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. In the middle of page 591. V'nemar v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, Vayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo echad.
be seated. We continue on page 597. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. At this time, remember those who've recently been laid to rest: Donna Lynn Fabricant, Joel Glasser, Judith Finkel, Joseph Rosaler, Bess Sullivan, Esther Jean Plowden, and Francis Schlacht. We also remember those whose yahrzeits occur at this time: Benjamin Adlin, Robert Baumgarten, Herb Bender, Gary Paul Bogner, Shirley Briggs, David Cohn, Catherine Cohn, Esther L. Cohn, Harry Down, Marla Lee Feldman, Rose Fishman, Nathan Gall, Ray Ginsberg, Louis Gordis, Martha Harrow, Lawrence David Hoffman, Betty June Hollander, Bessie Mae Hunter, Herbert Jacobowitz, Betty Kaufman, Simon Kessler, Ethel Krieger, Edmund Levy, Lillian Levy, Mildred Portnoy, Fanny Rosenfeld, David R. Salama, Joseph Samuels, Joan Saul, Muriel Cohn Schwartz, Jody Schianti, Alice Schenkman, Marvin Silver, Phyllis Silvers, Louis Smiles, Joyce Steinberg, Minette Tischk, Muriel Tropp, Elsie Warshaw, Hyman Whitman, Ivy Witkoff, Hilna M. Wolper, and Carol Zolanka. We remember these as we remember all of our loved ones who, though unmentioned, are always in our hearts, and for whom now we turn to page 598 and rise to recite the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayedecho beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imeru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudishah b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimeru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, as together we say, Amen. And before we announce the closing song, a quick thank you to Lindsay Dewey, who helped all of us arrange our program tonight, speak to our speakers, work with me to work with our speakers. Thank you for being that inspiration as well. And our final song, Lo Yisagoy, and Cantor is going to explain it.
So I know it's late and I apologize, but in about 2 weeks, we'll have a guest musical artist here, Noam Katz. And one of the pieces he will be singing is his composition, Lo Yisagoy. And the choir is going to be joining him. And I've listened to this and loved it so much, and I thought it was very appropriate for tonight's presentation. So we are going to sing it with Noam via his recording. So the words you can find are on the back of your Shabbat pamphlet, and please join in.
sagoy hel goy kharev lo yilmedu od milchama lo yisagoy hel goy kharev lo yilmedu od milchama. Nations shall not lift up their swords, they shall not learn the ways of war. Nations shall not lift up their swords, they shall not learn the ways of war. Everyone beneath their vine and fig tree, every soul that's singing for humanity, everyone must lay down their swords. Every town that's struck down by tragedy, every branch that's broken off a family tree, everyone must lay down their swords. Every dreamer dreaming of a better day, every leader preaching there's a better way, everyone must lay down their swords. Every conscience calling for civility, every hero exhibiting humility, everyone must lay down their swords. Lo yisagoy hel goy cherev lo yilmedu od milchama lo yisagoy hel goy cherev lo yilmedu od milchama. Nations shall not lift up their swords, they shall not learn the ways of war. Nations shall not lift up their swords, they shall not learn the ways of war.
Beautiful melody. We're now going to ask our three speakers to take the challah to mid-pulpit, call up everybody, and there's plenty of room up here in the middle, 18 and under, to come and join all three of them. Come on up to lead us in the motzi. Weren't they super? You should have been in an information class.
I can imagine.
It was war.
Addie. Just stay there, honey.
She wants to do it.
All right, guys, you ready to lead it?
Please. And in the spirit of peace, they will slowly take small pieces and share as we thank God. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God give strength to our people and with our help build a world of peace. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I'll take it in the moment. Perfect. Thank you. You're welcome. I hope you didn't mind.